Right, so this is the BMW R18 Bagger. Yes, today I'm riding the new 2022 R18 Bagger, and, well, what a machine this is. So, I rode the R18 first edition maybe 2-3 years ago. I think it was 2018, not sure. And I remember at the time, obviously this is a completely different bike. Chassis is pretty much, it's similar, slightly different. The angle on the forks is different to accommodate the big fairing at the front. The engine is still the same, and I remember saying on the previous review that the engine was kind of the big feature that everything kind of was built around rather, and it's slightly different in my opinion on this bike. The big feature to me is this massive fairing in front of me, very kind of American cruiser Indian style, and it kind of just it dominates the entire landscape in front of me. So all I can see is pretty much the screen, and I'm sure that all you can see is pretty much this, not the screen, this big dashboard, this big TFT screen, and this is pretty much a wide screen television. So it's keyless start, keys in my pocket, and so this is, like I said, the 2022 BMW R18 Bagger, and this is what we're going to be riding today. So let's fire her up. Keyless start there. The screen does its magic animation thing. And, oh, right, before we go, the center stand down there, this is, I remember this, I had forgotten this from the previous ride, but the center stand just goes all the way out, and the first time you kick it out and you just try to get out of the bike, it feels like the bike is going to fall over, because the side stand just goes all the way to the side, and just to put it back up again, it's quite the struggle, because this is a very, very, very heavy thing. It's not easy to reach the side stand to kick it back. Whew. It's quite the workout just to get the thing going. It's very, very top heavy, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's just ride the bike. Whoa! You get this kind of over-exaggerated boxer wiggle when you fire up these massive twin cylinders on the R18. So yes, let's go. So a few things come to mind straight away after this initial first impressions of the bike and its weight and its size. And the first thing that's immediately apparent is the gear shift lever. It's in a very, at least to me, it's in a very awkward position. It's relatively easy to shift down, but it's really, really hard to just squeeze my left foot underneath the lever and shift up. Maybe because it's mainly because of the position right underneath the cylinder head, and also because there doesn't seem to be a lot of space between it and the massive footrest, which is quite large on this bike. So it requires a little getting used to shift gears properly, and first of all to find the gear shift lever. So, but it's just a matter of getting used to it. Another thing that requires a bit getting used to, despite the fact that we have the normal BMW buttonage going on, is the position of the indicator button here. So I keep looking for it when I want to turn right or left, because it's not as, as instinctive as it is on other BMW bikes. It's not where it should be, at least it feels like to me. It feels like so. But yes, in front of us we have this massive TFT screen here, and right now it's showing the onboard computer with trip 1 and average speed, average consumption 32.8 miles per gallon. This thing likes to drink quite a lot, and And we have right here on the center, we have the riding modes. This has 3 riding modes: rock, roll, and rain. So rain is obviously what it is. Rain, rock and roll are your kind of normal for roll, and kind of more sportier, more immediate, responsive mode, which is what I'm in right now. There is a slight difference when opening up the throttle, but there is a difference. It responds to the throttle a bit quicker, but that's pretty much it. The power is always there. And then we have, right, the only thing that I'm using right now, going to the menu button, is going to settings, and in settings, sorry, wrong button, going to settings, and in settings, going to heating, using the scroll wheel on there, going into heating, grip heating, and I have the heated grips on 2. If I want to go higher than 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and we're there. Back to menu, and back to the main menu. So this is the only thing that I've used so far, and I've switched modes as usual. There's a mode button on here, and we can shift between rock, roll, and rain. Just leave it in rock, and it's the usual BMW shifting of mode, changing modes. Just let go of the throttle, and it changes automatically on the fly. Other than that, we've got the big kind of analog displays on top, and from left to right we've got the fuel gauge indicator. Very analog, very nice. I have to say I really do like the way these things look like. And so I've got speedo, tacho, and on the right we have something that to me is just a bit of a gadget, a gimmick, whatever you want to call it, and that's the power reserve indicator, to say how much power you have left on the engine. So right now I'm at 75, so I still have 75%. 4th gear, doing 53 miles an hour on a dual carriageway. And now you might wonder why I'm doing 53 miles per hour on the dual carriageway. There are various reasons, and the first one is because this thing is very, very noisy on my helmet. You've got this non-adjustable windscreen, which from my visor downwards, it's fabulous. There's no air, there's no wind, there's no nothing. But above that, there's a lot of turbulence on the top of my helmet, and this generates a lot of noise inside the helmet. And also, this engine, this whole bike vibrates like hell. Right now I'm sitting at its sweet spot at around 2,500 RPM. Anything between 2,500 RPM and 3,000 RPM is pretty smooth-ish for this bike, but anything below that or above that, it's really, really vibey, and you wouldn't be able to hear me or understand me for that matter, because I would be vibrating so much, and I would risk having my fillings all come out and fall in my mouth. So yeah, this is very, very vibey. Other than that, the engine is, so besides this huge screen and fairing in front of me with its Marshall sound system that I haven't turned on because it's really not my thing, and I wouldn't be able to appreciate it because I don't really enjoy having sound or music on a motorbike. Is that guy taking a piss? Yeah, just let me slow down a little bit. And so yeah, besides that and this huge tank, which make this bike very, very top heavy, the other big feature is obviously the engine. It still produces maximum power of 90 brake horsepower or thereabouts, 100 and something Newton meters of torque. I'll put the numbers up on the screen for you guys. And it is torquey as hell. Anything above, I don't know, 2,000 RPM, regardless of which gear you're on. Ooh. Holy shit. This thing shakes like hell. Right, I need to slow down, otherwise you guys won't be able to hear me. But as you can see, this is kind of a bit of a digression here, but despite its big size, it handles very well. I'll talk about that in a minute, but you can see that me going round that roundabout just now, it goes very, very well. Fucking hell, looks like everybody stopped me for a leak today. A wee. Anyway, where was I? Right, okay, the massive engine. It's got loads of torque, 53 miles per hour, 4th gear, 2.7 or 2700 revs per minute, and open the throttle and off she goes. And this immediate response is available anywhere above around 2000 RPM, regardless of the gear you're on. So yeah, there's loads of torque, and this is where this engine shines. And at the same time, in my opinion, for my style of riding, it just makes me want to ride not very aggressively, kind of in a chilled manner, because I mean, this is what this bike kind of transmits me. A very chilled ride, like a cruiser, and not just because of kind of the way it's laid out, the way we're seated, which is very, very comfortable, but also because if you try to go crazy on this, vibrations are so big that it's not going to be comfortable for too long. It can easily accelerate to get out of a pickle or to overtake someone, but yeah, it's just not a bike to go fast for very long, in my opinion. Right, so slowing down a little bit after that little stretch of motorway, and back to the bike. So we've discussed the engines. I was saying just earlier that when we did the roundabout, that despite its huge size and its weight, it's really not that difficult to handle at relatively slow speeds, and by that I mean 40-50 miles per hour or slightly less, 20-30 going round a roundabout like we just did. But anything below that, in my opinion, for my level of experience, anything below that is really hard. This is very heavy to handle, and I would say that it's even intimidating if you're not used to riding such a big bike. A lot more intimidating than riding the R18 kind of the R18 first edition that I rode a while back, because just let me just dial down the heater grips a bit, because they are proper hot now. So like I was saying, it's very intimidating, a lot more intimidating than the first edition that I rode a while back. But that was not intimidating at all. It wasn't as top heavy as this, and I mean, this huge fairing at the front just makes it, in my opinion anyway, it just makes it really hard to maneuver at slow speeds, and it makes it very top heavy. The bike looks beautiful with it. I think the bike looks very nice, proper cruiser-like bike. And but yeah, another thing is that also very much like they did with the R18 when they first launched it, I think that BMW wanted to make a statement with this bike, and you can see that their biggest boxer engine so far, the one biggest boxer engine they've made so far, and a kind of incursion into a more proper cruiser type of bike, and also they really wanted to make sure that everybody knew about it, from things like even on very small details on the design of the bike. You get Berlin built everywhere here. This is to make sure that if you didn't know that you're on a BMW, or if you're on a BMW but you don't know that it's a German brand or make, this is not going to you're not going to miss this. Berlin built right here on these caps here, both for the hydraulic clutch and the hydraulic and for the brake. So, and very on the brake fluid, sorry, and yeah, all very much the details are very well thought out. The screen is massive, looks very nice, it's very easy to read even when the sun's shining on it directly. Very, very easy to read. And also another kind of, it's also a bit of a gimmicky thing, but they have the riding modes. Instead of just calling it rain, normal and standard and sport, or normal and sport, so they decided to go with rock and roll, and for rock for sport or dynamic, which is the name they have on other motorbikes for those more sporty modes, and roll for your just normal standard mode. So yeah, BMW went very far in trying to show off with this bike, and as you can see, you can flick it around. It's surprisingly nimble, and it's surprisingly easy to ride at slower speeds. Right now we're doing 30 miles an hour, third gear, engine is not complaining, shifting down to second, and I don't know if you can hear, but those pops and burbles coming out from the exhaust, which is slightly different than the one on the first edition. The first edition has these more kind of fishtail type of exhausts. This one is more of a kind of a pea shooter type exhaust, but the engine has this beautiful note to it, and you can hear the pops. So when it's, there you go, I don't know if you can hear them, but when you let go of the throttle, pop, 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 pop. Oh, yeah, this sounds great, and it is addictive. Just making it go like that. But you can only do this for you know, just a little bit, because the bike vibrates so much, the seat vibrates a lot. It's very, very comfortable. It's very, very plush, the seat. I don't know about the pillion, because it seems a bit small for a pillion, but it looks as cushy as mine or the driver's seat. But yeah, I'm going to go crazy and do a spot of overtakeage at slow speed on it. And yeah, very easy to maneuver. It's only when you go below any 20 or 15 miles an hour and you're trying to do these tight corners and things, or just trying to maneuver around your driveway or car park, that's when it becomes really, really difficult. But yeah, gearbox on this, smooth, despite the fact that the lever is in this very awkward position, and so it shifts up and down very smoothly. Brakes are great, both the front brakes and the rear brake, they are great. And yeah, this is it, the BMW R18 Bagger for you. Hope you've enjoyed this first ride and impressions video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Until then, ta-ra!